There is a sound, a long, rising, mechanical wail that you never mistake once you have heard it. For most of us, this sound belongs to another century. It is a relic of the Cold War drills we remember from childhood, a ghostly echo from black and white newsreels. It belongs to history, not to our living rooms. But imagine, just for a moment, that the echo becomes real. Imagine it is vibrating through your window panes right now, slicing through the air like a blade. At this specific moment, that sound is no longer just a warning. It is a sentence that starts with a single word, now. Your first instinct, honed by decades of relative peace, is disbelief. You will tell yourself it has to be a malfunction, a storm alarm, or a test. But then your phone glows with a single notification that makes your throat tighten. Emergency alert. Nuclear incident detected. In that split second, time fractures. The world you knew, the quiet logic of your morning routine, the sense of safety, that unspoken promise that it can't happen here, all of it vanishes. You realize you do not have hours. You have minutes, perhaps even less, to make choices that will decide everything that follows. The mind naturally races in chaos, but survival demands absolute clarity. You cannot freeze, and you certainly cannot guess. Every second lost to hesitation is 1 second closer to lethal exposure. Most people never learn the true nature of the sound until it is too late. They believe the siren is simply a blast alarm. They are wrong. The siren is a clock. Depending on where you stand, it could signal a missile detected by radar, giving you minutes, or it could be a fallout alert, leaving you with seconds. If you heard that sound outside your door today, there are 5 things you must do, not tomorrow, now. And they must happen in a specific order, because survival is not about luck, it is about sequence. The siren continues to wail. It is a relentless, piercing, mechanical scream that drills into the mind. In this precise moment, your brain will betray you. The most human instinct of all, curiosity, will try to take the wheel. You will feel an overwhelming compulsion to walk to the window, to pull back the curtain, to scan the horizon for a mushroom cloud or a flash. You will want to verify what your ears are hearing. Do not do it. Curiosity is a natural reflex, but in a nuclear scenario, it is a fatal error. Every second you spend looking for visual confirmation is a second lost. And in this environment, time is not measured in minutes. It is measured in moments of potential exposure. If you are standing by a window when a detonation occurs, the glass itself becomes shrapnel, and the thermal pulse can blind or burn you instantly. Windows are not shields. They are vulnerabilities. The first rule of survival is counterintuitive. Stop looking and start moving. The initial 30 seconds are the most critical half-minute of your life. They decide whether you are hit by the initial wave of radiation or shielded from it. If I were home and heard that sound, I would move instantly. No scrolling social media for confirmation. No searching Google for news reports. The network will likely be jammed or dead anyway. Your goal is simple. Get inside. But not just any structure. You need the right kind of structure. You need mass between you and the sky. Many people believe that when the siren sounds, they should grab their keys and run. They think survival means escape. They picture themselves speeding down a highway, putting distance between themselves and the blast. This is a catastrophic miscalculation. In a nuclear event, the roads will become parking lots of panic. But more importantly, a car is a coffin. The thin metal of a vehicle offers virtually no protection against radiation. You cannot outrun a blast wave, and you certainly cannot outdrive fallout that travels with the wind. Survival is the opposite of escape. You survive by staying still. If you're outside, do not run blindly. Look for density immediately. A large stone building, a concrete parking structure, an underground train station. These are your sanctuaries. If you're already home, stay there. I would grab the essentials only if they were already packed and within arm's reach. A flashlight, a power bank, bottled water, a radio. But I would not spend 5 minutes packing a bag. If the bag isn't ready, the bag gets left behind. The priority is not comfort, it is cover. The mission in these first few frantic moments is not to be a hero. It is to find cover, stay low, and stay quiet. The world outside is about to become hostile to biological life. When the sky begins to glow, safety is not found in the distance. It is found in the immediate, heavy stillness of a shelter. You are inside. The door is shut behind you. The initial panic of the siren is vibrating in your chest, but you cannot afford to stop moving yet. Simply being indoors is not enough. In the geometry of nuclear survival, not all rooms are created equal. The difference between a living room with a picture window and an interior hallway can be the difference between sickness and health, or life and death. Once you have crossed the threshold of a building, the rules of survival shift from speed to mass. You are no longer racing a clock. You are building a fortress out of geometry. The physics of radiation shielding are brutally simple. You need mass between your biological cells and the radioactive particles outside. Walls, floors, and ceilings are not just structural elements anymore. They are shields. The goal is to place as many layers of density between you and the fallout as possible. Think of radiation like a piercing light that can pass through thin materials. Wood and drywall offer little resistance. Glass offers none. But heavy materials, brick, concrete, earth, absorb this energy. The transcript notes a powerful rule of thumb. Every inch of concrete helps cut the radiation reaching you. This means your survival depends on finding the dead zone, the geometric center of mass within your shelter. If you're in a house, go down. The safest place is below your feet. Basements are the gold standard of protection because the surrounding earth acts as an infinite shield against radiation coming from the sides. If you have a basement, get there immediately. But do not just stand at the bottom of the stairs. Move to a corner or a spot furthest from any above-ground windows. If you do not have a basement, you must simulate one. Move to the center of the building, the most interior room. This is often a hallway, a closet, or a bathroom. You want a space that has no windows and is surrounded by walls on all sides. Every wall between you and the outside world reduces the dose you receive. You are looking for a space that feels claustrophobic, because in this scenario, open space is dangerous. If you're in an apartment or office building, the logic changes. You must think vertically. Do not go to the top floor. Fallout dust settles on roofs, meaning the ceiling of a top-floor apartment becomes a radioactive emitter. Do not stay on the ground floor. Fallout settles on the streets and sidewalks, meaning the radiation can penetrate through the windows and walls at street level. You need to find the middle ground. Move to the middle floors of the building. If it is a 10-story building, floors 3 through 7 are your sanctuary. Here you are buffered by the floors above you, shielding you from roof fallout, and the floors below you, shielding you from street fallout. Within that floor, the same rule applies. Seek the core. Interior stairwells, corridors, and elevator banks, if the shafts are concrete, are often the safest places in a high-rise. The invisible enemy. Why is this positioning so critical? Because the danger outside is no longer just the blast. It is the dust. The siren warned you of the event, but the fallout is the lingering killer. It doesn't roar like wind. It falls silently, like dust from another planet. It is carried by the wind and kills by proximity. When you find this dead zone, you are protecting yourself from the gamma rays emitted by that settling dust. If you are within the immediate blast zone, there is nothing to be done. But if you are outside that ring of total destruction, which is statistically much more likely, survival rates skyrocket the moment you reach a proper shelter. Finding this spot is the first decisive victory. You have used the building's mass to buy yourself a future, but now that you are in the right spot, you must ensure the air you breathe remains as clean as the walls protecting you. The fortress is found. Now it must be sealed. The siren has stopped. The initial roar of the event has faded, but now a more insidious phase begins. The danger is no longer the loud violence of a blast or the heat of a thermal pulse. It is silent. It is invisible. It is drifting toward you on the wind. The enemy is now dust. Radioactive particles sucked up into the atmosphere, cooling and descending back to Earth. It doesn't howl like a storm. It falls softly like dust from another planet. It kills by proximity, and it can enter your fortress through the smallest crack. Your survival now depends on a single, uncompromising rule. Every breath you take must come from clean air. The first hour inside your shelter is not about resting. It is about containment. You must turn your chosen space into a sealed ecosystem, isolated from the outside world. If I were in that room, my first move would be to shut off the lungs of the house. I would close every window and door. I would block the fireplace damper. I would tape over the vents. Air conditioning and heating units must be killed immediately. They are mechanisms that suck the outside world in. Then I would seal the gaps. If I had duct tape or painter's tape, I would attack every crack where daylight or a draft might enter. I would place wet towels at the base of the doors to catch drifting particles. If I had plastic sheeting or even heavy trash bags, I would tape them over the ventilation grills. This might seem excessive, but in a nuclear scenario, physics is unforgiving. Fallout is microscopic. It enters through gaps you can't see, settles on your table or your clothes, and turns the surfaces of your sanctuary into slow poisons. Once the physical seal is complete, you must seal the psychological environment. I would keep the lights low, not for stealth, but for calm. Bright lights stimulate. Shadows soothe. In a survival situation, panic burns up your body's energy reserves faster than radiation does. Your phone will likely be buzzing with chaos, rumors, fake news, half-truths, or terrifying silence. Ignore it. The algorithm is not your friend right now. Focus only on local emergency broadcasts via a radio, looking for clear instructions on evacuation zones or sheltering times. If you are with family, do not let them sit in terrified silence. Assign tasks. Doing keeps panic at bay. Have one person monitor the radio frequencies. Have another inventory the water and food. Have another recheck the seals on the windows. In this first hour, the only thing that matters is control. Control of the air, control of the space, and control of the fear. The bomb has already fallen. What happens next depends entirely on how well you can keep the world outside where it belongs. The sirens have finally stopped. Outside, the city has fallen into a silence that feels heavy, almost physical. There is no traffic, no aircraft, no distant hum of the power grid. Silence has taken the place of sound, and that silence carries its own specific terror. It is in this quiet vacuum that most people make their final, fatal mistake. The human mind craves information. You will feel a desperate need to go outside, to check the horizon, to see if the neighbors are okay, to find a signal for your phone. You will assume that because the blast is over, the danger has passed. You must fight this instinct with everything you have. The danger has not passed. It has merely changed form. Radiation does not look dramatic. It does not glow like in the movies, and it does not burn visibly like fire. It hides in the dust, in the water, and in the air. It is microscopic, invisible, and incredibly patient. If you step outside now, even for 5 minutes, you're walking into a storm of gamma radiation strong enough to penetrate bone. The particles descending from the sky are at their most energetic and lethal state right now. This is not the time to be bold. This is the time to trust the math, and the math is on your side if you have the patience to wait for it. Radioactive fallout follows a predictable physical law. It decays, and it decays rapidly. The drop in lethality is exponential, not linear. Here is the rule you need to hold on to when the hours feel endless. In the first few hours after a blast, radiation levels are lethal in minutes, but after just 7 hours, the radiation level drops to 1/10 of its initial strength. After 48 hours, it drops to just 1%. Think about that. Simply by staying put, by doing absolutely nothing but breathing in your sealed fortress, you are letting the enemy destroy itself. Every hour you refuse to open that door, the world outside becomes exponentially more survivable. Patience is not just a virtue here. It is your primary survival mechanism. During this wait, your actions must be disciplined. This is the time to ration everything: food, water, flashlight batteries, and even your own movement. You do not know how long you will be confined, and energy is now a precious resource. If you have pets, they must stay inside. It sounds harsh, but letting a dog out and letting it back in is equivalent to dragging a radioactive sponge into your clean air supply. If they escape and return, washing them is not optional. It is a matter of life and death. Inside your shelter, stay in that central dead zone we established earlier. If your home has a ventilation system that pulls air from outside, keep it off. Do not run fans. Airflow is the vehicle for contamination. You will feel the weight of the silence pressing in from every wall. You will wonder if help is coming. In a crisis of this magnitude, governments respond slowly and imperfectly. Emergency broadcasts may be silent for a while. Rescue operations will not be immediate. But remember that silence outside is actually safety. It means means the air around you is still, and stillness is the one thing fallout cannot use against you. So write down the time of the blast. Note the alerts. Make a list of essential actions for later. But for these first 24 hours, do not try to leave. Staying inside is not cowardice, it is intelligence. It is the only way to ensure that when the time comes to emerge, you are strong enough to do so. The second day after a nuclear event feels endless. Time seems to slow down, senses dull, and every distant sound becomes a cause for suspicion. But if you have reached the 48-hour mark, the invisible balance is shifted. The odds are moving quietly in your favor. At this point, the greatest threat, the immediate radiation burst, has decayed by nearly 99%. The world outside is not yet safe, but it is becoming survivable. And this brings you to the hardest question of all. Do you leave or do you stay? This decision cannot be made on impulse. It depends entirely on three specific variables: information, direction, and condition. First, information. Listen carefully to emergency broadcasts. If the message says, "Stay sheltered," you stay. If it names evacuation routes, write them down, but understand that those routes may already be clogged or contaminated. Never move without confirmation. Second, direction. Fallout travels with the wind. Moving toward the blast or downwind of it is suicide. You must move perpendicular to the wind to find clean air. In North America and Europe, this often means heading south or west, away from prevailing currents, but every situation is unique. You must know the wind. It decides everything. Third, condition. Assessing your own strength is vital. How much water is left? Are you or your family showing symptoms like nausea or dizziness? If you're already sick, evacuation might exhaust you before it saves you. Staying in shelter may give you a better chance to last until help arrives. If I were in that moment, even 2 days after hearing the siren, I would try to wait until the 72nd hour before stepping outside. And when I finally did, I would do it carefully, covered completely in long sleeves, a mask, and a hood. When you finally emerge, the world will look almost normal. The same streets, the same horizon, just quieter. But nothing will truly be the same. The siren that once signaled a warning will now be a memory that divides your life into before and after. If you ever hear that sound, remember this. Survival isn't about luck, and it isn't about fear. It is about awareness. It is about finding calm in the noise, because once the siren ends, the silence is yours to survive.